Have you ever noticed how the smartest person you knew just vanished? That brilliant friend from college who had the most original ideas, you haven't heard from them in years. That co-worker who always saw what everyone else missed. They quit without explanation and deleted all social media. The genius everyone said was destined for greatness. They moved somewhere remote and cut every tie. Where did they go? Did they fail? Did they break down? Did they give up? Here's what Carl Jung discovered that changes everything. Highly intelligent people don't disappear because they failed. They disappear because society demanded they become someone else. And one day they finally stop pretending. If you've ever felt the urge to vanish, to withdraw, to walk away from everything, Jung's research proves you're not broken. You're responding rationally to a world that punishes you for being yourself. Throughout history, this pattern repeats endlessly. Carl Jung himself withdrew to his stone tower in Bollingen, building it brick by brick with his own hands, working in complete isolation. Grigori Perelman solved one of mathematics' greatest problems, refused a $1 million prize, and vanished from academia completely. Bobby Fischer dominated chess, then disappeared into paranoid exile. Emily Dickinson wrote revolutionary poetry while barely leaving her bedroom. The pattern is undeniable. The brightest minds don't rise to the top of society. They quietly exit it. But why? What psychological forces make this withdrawal inevitable? Today, I'm going to reveal exactly why highly intelligent people disappear from society. This is Carl Jung's truth about intelligent disappearance, and it might explain everything you've been feeling. Let's begin. Carl Jung revolutionized psychology with one discovery: the collective unconscious. This is the shared mental programming every human inherits. The beliefs, instincts, and patterns embedded in your mind before you could even think. But here's what Jung discovered that changes everything. Most people never escape this collective unconscious. They think the thoughts their culture installed. They want what advertising tells them to want. They believe what authority programmed them to believe. And here's the shocking part. They have no idea they're doing it. They genuinely believe they're thinking independently, but they're just recycling pre-installed beliefs. Jung called this living in identification with the collective. Everyone wearing the same mental uniform. Everyone following the same invisible script. But highly intelligent people, they naturally break free from this collective programming. They question inherited beliefs. They see through social conditioning. They recognize that what everyone calls reality is just widely accepted illusion. Jung called this breaking free individuation, becoming your authentic self rather than society's copy. And this is where the problem begins. Because society doesn't just dislike individuation, it punishes it viciously. Think about this psychological truth. When you meet someone physically stronger, you might admire them. When you meet someone wealthier, you might envy them. But when you encounter someone intellectually superior, something different happens in your brain. Neuroscience research reveals why. When people feel intellectually inferior, their amygdala, the brain's fear and threat center, lights up like a fire alarm. A 2019 study at Princeton found that intellectual superiority triggers the same threat response as physical danger. Your intelligence literally activates their survival instincts. Psychologists call this the mirror effect. An intelligent person doesn't just share ideas. They reflect back everyone else's limitations. Their presence exposes intellectual mediocrity. And humans will do anything to protect their ego from that reflection. This is why Socrates was executed, why Galileo was imprisoned, why Alan Turing was driven to suicide despite saving millions of lives. Not because their ideas were wrong, but because their correctness was intolerable. Have you experienced this? You share a complex thought. Everyone goes silent. You point out an obvious inconsistency. People call you negative. You ask a deeper question. The conversation suddenly changes. This isn't coincidence. It's cognitive self-defense. When people encounter thinking they cannot match, their brain doesn't try to rise to your level. It tries to eliminate the threat, and the threat is you. Here's what people don't understand about being highly intelligent in normal society. Every interaction is translation work. Jung observed, loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. This is the daily torture of the intelligent mind. You think in systems and patterns. They think in concrete examples. You see connections across domains. They see isolated incidents. You speak in probabilities. They speak in absolute certainties. So you translate every single conversation. You compress your multi-dimensional thoughts into one-dimensional statements they can process. You remove the nuance, strip away the depth, flatten the complexity, and this translation work is soul-crushing because you're not just simplifying your communication, you're simplifying your thinking. Your mind is like a muscle. Use it below capacity long enough, and it atrophies. Every hour spent dumbing down your thoughts is an hour of cognitive decline. Jung understood this intimately. His explorations of the collective unconscious, his interest in alchemy and synchronicity, all of this was too complex for his peers. So he stopped trying to translate. He withdrew to his tower in Bollingen, spent years working in complete isolation, building the structure with his own hands, stone by stone. People called him crazy, said he was having a breakdown, but he was doing the opposite. He was finally becoming sane, because sanity isn't adjusting to a sick society. Sanity is refusing to participate in collective insanity. This is the first reason intelligent people disappear. Translation exhaustion becomes unbearable. They realize they've spent years compressing themselves to fit into conversations that bore them. And one day they ask, why am I doing this? What am I getting from this performance? The answer is devastating. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So they stop. They withdraw. They disappear. Not in defeat, in clarity. Jung identified another concept that explains intelligent disappearance, the persona. This is the mask you wear for society, the version of yourself you present to be accepted. For most people, the gap between their persona and their true self is small. The mask feels natural. But for highly intelligent people, the gap becomes a chasm. The persona society demands, simple, certain, agreeable, predictable, is so far from their authentic nature that wearing it becomes psychological torture. You have to hide your questions, dumb down your observations, pretend you don't see patterns everyone else misses, every single day. Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But society demands the exact opposite. Society demands you remain who it needs you to be." Let me show you what this looks like. You're in a meeting. Someone presents an idea with 5 obvious flaws. You see them instantly. But you've learned not to speak, because the last time you pointed out problems, you were labeled negative. Not a team player, too critical. So you stay silent. You watch the doomed plan get approved. You know exactly how it will fail. And a part of you dies. This happens dozens of times per week, hundreds of times per year. Each time you choose the persona over authenticity, you choose acceptance over truth. Until one day you realize, I don't even remember who I actually am. I've worn this mask so long, I've forgotten the face beneath it. A 2021 study at Stanford University found that people with IQs above 130 spend an average of 6 to 8 hours per day performing normalcy. That's a full-time job, a second shift of pretending, and eventually they can't do it anymore. So they disappear to remember who they are, to stop performing and start being. This is what Jung did in Bollingen. Away from everyone who demanded he be someone simpler, he built his tower, stone by stone, a physical manifestation of psychological reconstruction. He wasn't escaping. He was building the only environment where he could be himself. Jung introduced another revolutionary concept, the shadow. This is the part of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge, the traits we deny, the truths we won't face. And here's what Jung discovered. Highly intelligent people trigger everyone else's shadow automatically. When you enter a room, something unconscious happens in everyone else's mind. Their intellectual limitations become visible. Their lazy thinking becomes obvious. This triggers what psychologists call shadow projection. Instead of acknowledging their own limitations, people project their discomfort onto you. You're arrogant. You're pretentious. You think you're better than everyone. But here's the truth. You didn't do anything. Your mere existence triggered their shadow. Have you noticed this? You haven't said anything arrogant, but people call you arrogant. You haven't claimed superiority, but people accuse you of thinking you're superior. You've simply existed at your natural level, and that was threatening enough. This is shadow projection, and it's why intelligent people disappear. Not because they can't handle criticism, but because they're exhausted from being attacked for things they didn't do. Tired of managing other people's psychological defenses just by existing. Here's another truth Jung understood. Once you see the patterns, people become predictable. And predictability is death for an intelligent mind. Jung wrote, "Thinking is difficult, therefore most people judge." Once you understand this, you cannot unsee it. You know what they'll say before they say it. You know how they'll react before they react. Because most people don't think. They execute social scripts. The Dunning-Kruger effect explains why. People with low ability dramatically overestimate their competence. They think they're being original when they're being utterly generic. You sit through another political discussion where everyone repeats their tribal talking points. Another relationship conversation where people share advice from the same self-help books. And you think, I've had this exact conversation 23 times with 23 different people who all think they're being unique. This realization is devastating because intelligence craves novelty, unexpected connections, surprising insights. But human behavior, once you understand it, offers none of that. This is why Jung chose books over parties, dead philosophers over living colleagues, because Nietzsche could still surprise him, Kant could still challenge him, but the average person at a dinner party, completely predictable. Why spend time with predictable scripts when unpredictable ideas await in solitude? And here's where Jung's insight becomes radical. Society isn't designed to embrace intelligence. It's designed to suppress it. Jung observed that every society needs stability more than truth, conformity more than innovation, comfort more than growth, and intelligence threatens all three. The intelligent person asks uncomfortable questions, sees through comforting lies, disrupts stable hierarchies. So society develops immune responses, ways of neutralizing the threat without admitting it. They don't say, we're suppressing intelligence. They say, you're not a culture fit. You're too intense. You're overthinking this. The message is always the same. Modify yourself or leave. Status quo bias explains this. The human brain prefers familiar ideas over new truths, even when the new truths are objectively better. This is why revolutionary ideas are always ridiculed first, why innovators are punished initially, why geniuses die broke and get celebrated posthumously. Society only embraces intelligence after it's dead, when it's no longer threatening. Jung proved this. During his lifetime, academic psychology dismissed him as mystical and unscientific. Today, his concepts are fundamental to psychology, but he had to disappear from academia to develop them, had to build his tower and work in isolation. The work that made him immortal required him to become invisible. Jung died in 1961, but modern society has amplified every force that pushes intelligent people toward disappearance. Social media rewards simplicity over depth. Viral content beats thoughtful analysis. The intelligent person faces an impossible choice. Compress your thoughts into sound bites or be ignored. Think about what goes viral: simple statements, absolute positions, emotional appeals, controversy. Now think about what characterizes intelligent thought: nuance, conditionality, careful reasoning, complexity. These are incompatible with modern platforms. A 2022 MIT study analyzed millions of tweets and found that false information spreads 6 times faster than truth. Why? Because lies are simple, truth is complex, and algorithms reward simplicity. The result? Intelligent people are disappearing from public platforms faster than ever. Modern workplaces have the same problem. They claim to value innovation, but what they actually reward is conformity within existing frameworks. The person who questions the framework, who sees systemic problems, they're labeled not a team player, eventually pushed out. Grigori Perelman proved this perfectly. He solved the Poincaré conjecture, one of mathematics' greatest problems. He was offered the Fields Medal and $1 million prize. He refused both, disappeared from academia completely. People say he went crazy, but maybe he just saw clearly. The system that would celebrate his solution would also demand he become its performer. He chose invisible authenticity over celebrated performance. Every major intellectual breakthrough came from someone who had withdrawn from mainstream society. Newton did his most important work during plague years, isolated at his family estate. Darwin developed evolution theory in isolation at Down House for decades. Kant never traveled more than 10 miles from his hometown and lived an incredibly isolated life. Emily Dickinson wrote 1,800 poems while barely leaving her bedroom. Only a dozen were published during her lifetime. Today, she's recognized as one of America's greatest poets. Nikola Tesla died alone in a hotel room, feeding pigeons in the park. The same society that now celebrates him completely abandoned him when alive. The pattern repeats across every domain. Society doesn't celebrate living intelligence. It tolerates it at best, destroys it at worst, and commodifies it posthumously. Jung called this the persecution of the individuated mind. If you're recognizing yourself in these patterns, you're probably in the early stages of your own disappearance. Here are the signs Jung identified. You feel exhausted after social interactions rather than energized. You'd rather read or think than attend gatherings. You've started declining invitations without guilt. You feel disconnected from your career despite being competent. You've noticed yourself going quiet in conversations, not because you have nothing to say, but because explaining feels pointless. You're spending more time alone and feeling relief rather than loneliness. These aren't symptoms of depression. They're symptoms of intelligence finally demanding the environment it needs. A 2020 study in the British Journal of Psychology found that highly intelligent people report lower life satisfaction from socializing. The researchers concluded the more intelligent someone is, the less they benefit from social interaction. This isn't pathology, it's biology. Your brain is wired differently, it needs different inputs, different environments, and society cannot provide what you need. The question isn't whether you'll disappear. If you're genuinely intelligent, you probably will. The question is, will you disappear consciously or unconsciously? Jung's answer is clear. Conscious withdrawal is healthy, necessary, productive. So here's what Carl Jung ultimately understood. Intelligent people don't escape failure by disappearing. They escape the requirement to fail. Society demands they compress their thinking, hide their depth, perform simplicity. Following these demands guarantees failure. Failure to become themselves. Failure to do meaningful work. So they disappear, not in weakness, but in strength. They choose invisible authenticity over visible performance. And in that disappearance, they finally begin the work they were meant to do. Jung proved this with his own life. After his break with Freud, he withdrew, built his tower, stone by stone. And in that withdrawn space, he developed the ideas that revolutionized psychology. None of this would have been possible within acceptable boundaries. His disappearance wasn't the end of his contribution. It was the beginning of his real work. Think about what you're actually giving up when you disappear. Shallow conversations that bore you, workplace politics that drain you, social performances that exhaust you, the approval of people who don't understand you anyway. Now think about what you gain. Time for deep work, space for authentic thinking, freedom from constant translation, the possibility of becoming who you actually are. The trade is obvious. So if you're feeling the pull toward withdrawal, Jung would tell you, trust it. That's not weakness calling. That's your authentic self demanding the space it needs. Society will call it concerning. Your family will worry. Your colleagues will think you're giving up. But you'll know the truth. You're not disappearing from life. You're disappearing into it, into your real life, your authentic work, your actual self. The world doesn't need another person playing small to make others comfortable. It needs you at full capacity, full depth, full intelligence. And that requires withdrawal from everything designed to keep you compressed. So build your tower. Find your quiet space where society's demands cannot reach you. Cut ties with relationships that drain more than they nourish. Leave careers that reward conformity over contribution. Stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand. And in that disappearance, finally begin. Carl Jung disappeared from mainstream psychology, and his ideas now define it. Emily Dickinson disappeared from society, and her poems are immortal. They didn't disappear because they failed to thrive in society. They disappeared because thriving in society would have meant failing at everything that actually mattered. This is Jung's ultimate truth. Visibility in a sick society is not success. It's complicity. Disappearance from collective insanity is not failure. It's sanity. The work you do in that withdrawn space, invisible to those who cannot see, that's the work that actually changes the world. So disappear, build your tower, do your work, because the intelligent don't disappear to hide from society. They disappear to finally become visible to themselves.